Discovered my brother and wife's affair. What I did next destroyed our family forever. Let me back up. I'm Ivan, 34, pipeline integrity engineer. The job sounds boring, but it pays well and requires me to travel for inspections about twice a month. My wife Camilla and I have been married 7 years, together for 10. No kids. She kept saying she wanted to wait until we bought a bigger house. Now I know why she really didn't want them. Wesley is my brother. 5 years younger, the golden child who could do no wrong. Real estate broker who thinks he's hot SHT because he closed a few commercial deals. Been engaged to Scarlett for 2 years, wedding planned for next spring. Or was. September 12th. I remember because it was a Thursday and I was supposed to fly to Houston for a 3-day pipeline inspection. The client called that morning, tropical storm heading toward the Gulf, inspection postponed. I decided not to tell Camilla. Thought I'd surprise her, maybe take her out for dinner. I pulled into my neighborhood around 2 p.m. and saw Wesley's white BMW in my driveway. Not unusual, he sometimes stopped by to use my home gym in the garage. Has his own key because we're family, right? I walked in through the front door quietly, not trying to sneak but not announcing myself either. The house felt different. Can't explain it. Just that feeling when something's off in your own space. Camilla's purse on the counter, her work laptop closed. She should have been at her pharma sales job. Then I heard it. Her laugh from upstairs. That specific laugh she does when she's being flirty. My stomach dropped but my mind went completely clear. I stood at the bottom of the stairs for maybe 30 seconds, just processing. Part of me wanted to charge up there, beat the SHT out of Wesley, scream at both of them. But something else took over. This cold, calculated part of my brain that said no. Be smart about this. I quietly went back outside, got in my truck, and drove to the park down the street. Sat there for an hour thinking. Then I drove back home, made noise coming in, called out, "Hey babe, trip got cancelled." You should have seen them scramble. By the time I got upstairs, Camilla was coming out of the bathroom in a robe, hair wet like she'd just showered. Wesley was in my office, pretending to look at my bookshelf. Both of them acting like everything was normal. "Oh hey," Camilla said, "too bright, too cheerful. I came home early with a headache. Wesley just stopped by to borrow that book on commercial property law you have." Wesley wouldn't meet my eyes. "Yeah, the one you mentioned last week. Found it though, so I'll get out of your hair." I played along perfectly. Smiled, made small talk, even walked Wesley out to his car and BS about football. Inside, I was taking mental notes of everything. His shirt untucked on one side. Cologne too fresh for 2 p.m. The way he kept running his hand through his hair, his nervous tell since we were kids. That night, I K'd Camilla harder than I had in months. She probably thought it was passion for missing her. Really, I was establishing dominance over what was mine before I destroyed her. She had no idea she was on borrowed time. The next morning, I called my buddy Rico. Runs a security consulting firm, knows his way around surveillance. Told him I needed cameras for my house, the good kind that upload to the cloud. Didn't tell him why. He hooked me up, installed them that weekend while Camilla was at her sister's baby shower. Then I started paying attention. Really paying attention. Wesley texted her constantly. I saw her smile at her phone, then quickly put it away when I looked over. She started having more client dinners and sales meetings. Wesley suddenly had more property showings in my neighborhood. I checked our phone bill online. Hundreds of texts between them. The affair started July 4th, my parents' barbecue. I remembered that day. Wesley and Camilla had been on the same team for cornhole, laughing and drinking together while I grilled with my dad. I'd thought it was nice they got along so well. 2 weeks into my surveillance, I had my proof. Clear video of Wesley coming over 20 minutes after I left for work, staying for 2 hours. Him grabbing her sauce in my kitchen. Them making out against my F-King refrigerator. I started documenting everything. Screenshots of our credit card statements, charges at hotels during her work trips that her company wasn't reimbursing. A VAR in my bedroom, perfectly legal in my state since it's my house, caught them talking after SX about how guilty they felt, how they couldn't help themselves, how I could never find out. The best part? Wesley saying, "Scarlett's too vanilla anyway. Not like you." And Camilla responding, "Ivan's so predictable. Same routine, same everything. You make me feel alive." Predictable. Okay. Let's see how predictable I am. I consulted a divorce attorney, Derek Paulson. The kind who drives a Maserati and has a reputation for leaving cheating spouses with nothing. Showed him my evidence. He actually whistled and said, "This is the cleanest adultery case I've seen in 15 years. She's FK'd." But I wasn't done. I wanted more than divorce. I wanted scorched earth. I tracked their pattern. Wesley came over Tuesdays and Thursdays when I was at work. They met at a Marriott downtown every other Friday when Camilla had her regional sales meetings and Wesley had client entertainment. October rolled around. I kept playing the oblivious husband. Even made love to Camilla regularly, though I felt nothing. She was just a warm body at that point, a placeholder until I could execute my plan. Wesley came to Sunday dinners at our parents' house, and I'd joke with him, pass him beers, act like the loving older brother. The whole time, I was planning. See, I could have just confronted them. Could have divorced Camilla quietly, told Wesley to F off, kept the family peace. But why should I protect them? Why should I bear the burden of their betrayal silently? No. They made the choice to betray me together. They could face the consequences together. I picked Thanksgiving for the reveal. Maximum damage, maximum witnesses. Told my parents I wanted to host dinner this year. Invited them, Wesley and Scarlett, Camilla's parents Felix and Ruth. One big happy family gathering. The week before Thanksgiving, I prepared packages. USB drives with the video evidence, printed screenshots of texts, hotel receipts, credit card statements. Everything organized, labeled, indisputable. One package for Scarlett, one for Felix and Ruth, one for my parents. I also did something else. Called Wesley's biggest client, Harrison Development Group. Turns out they're very interested when someone mentions their broker might be engaged in behavior that could damage their reputation. Didn't give them details yet, but planted the seed that they might want to review their relationship with him after the holiday. Thanksgiving came. Everyone arrived. Camilla had no idea what was coming. She was in the kitchen with my mom, laughing about something. Wesley was watching football with my dad and Felix. Scarlett was helping set the table, her engagement ring catching the light. We sat down to dinner. I'd placed everyone strategically. Wesley and Camilla on opposite sides of the table, their respective partners next to them. My parents at one end, Camilla's parents at the other. Me at the head, presiding over what was about to become a massacre. Halfway through dinner, after everyone had wine and was relaxed, I stood up with my glass. "I want to make a toast," I said. Everyone smiled, raised their glasses. "To family," I began. "To the bonds of trust that hold us together. To marriage, to fidelity, to brotherhood." Wesley shifted in his seat. "Good. Let him wonder." "But most of all," I continued, "I want to toast the truth. Because the truth, no matter how painful, is what we deserve." I set down my glass and pulled out the packages from under my chair. "Felix, Ruth, I'm sorry to do this at dinner, but you need to know what your daughter has been doing." I handed them their package. "Scarlett, this concerns you too." Handed her hers. "Mom, Dad." Gave them theirs. Camilla's face had gone white. "Ivan, what are you doing?" "I'm done being predictable, honey." Wesley started to stand. "Ivan, wait. Sit the F down, Wesley." The authority in my voice made him drop back into his chair. "For the past 4 months, I announced, my loving wife and my dear brother have been having an affair. In my house. In my bed. While I was working to pay for the life we built." Felix opened the package first. His face went from confusion to rage as he saw the first photos. "What the F is this?" Scarlett was staring at a screenshot of Wesley's texts. Her hands were shaking. The engagement ring she'd been so proud of suddenly looked like a joke on her finger. My mother gasped, "Wesley, tell me this isn't true." Wesley couldn't speak. He was staring at me with this mix of terror and rage, probably calculating if he could make it to the door before Felix got to him. Camilla started crying. Not pretty tears, ugly, snotty sobbing. "Ivan, please, we can talk about this privately?" "Privately?" I laughed. "Like how you privately FK'd my brother?" "No, sweetheart. You gave up privacy when you decided to spread your legs in my bed." Ruth was reading the credit card statements. "These hotels. Camilla, you told us you were at conferences." "She was conferencing all right," I said. "Just not about pharmaceutical sales." That's when Scarlett snapped. She stood up, pulled off her engagement ring, and threw it at Wesley's face. It caught him on the cheek, drew blood. "You piece of SHT. She screamed. "I gave you everything. I supported you through your career, I planned our wedding, She grabbed her wine glass and threw that too. Wesley ducked. It shattered against the wall behind him. My father finally spoke. Wesley, get out. Dad, get out. Wesley looked at Camilla, maybe hoping for support, but Felix had stood up and was moving toward him. Felix is a former Marine, still built like a brick house at 58. Wesley made the smart choice and ran for the door. Felix followed him out. We could hear shouting in the driveway, then a car door slam and tires squealing. Camilla stood up, mascara streaking down her face. Ivan, I'm sorry, I love you, it was a mistake. You're going to pack your things and leave, I said calmly. Your belongings will be in the garage. Take only what's yours. I've already changed the locks. You can't just kick me out. This is my house too. Actually, check the deed. It's in my name only. Your credit was SHT when we got married, remember? And Texas is an at-fault divorce state. You're getting nothing. She turned to her parents. Mom, Dad, please. Ruth stood up, disgusted. Don't. Just don't. We're leaving. The house cleared out within minutes. Only my parents, Scarlett, and I remained. Scarlett was still crying, my mom comforting her. My dad just sat there, looking older than I'd ever seen him. You planned this, he said finally. Yes. You humiliated your brother. Destroyed him. He destroyed himself when he decided to F my wife. You could have handled this differently. I could have, I agreed. But they didn't deserve differently. My mother looked at me like she didn't recognize me. This was cruel, Ivan. No, Mom. Cruel was them F-king in my bed while looking me in the eye at Sunday dinners. This was justice. They left too, taking Scarlett with them. I was alone in my house, surrounded by Thanksgiving dinner no one would eat. I poured myself a scotch and sat in the silence. The call started within an hour. Camilla, Wesley, my parents, mutual friends who'd already heard. I didn't answer any of them. The next day, I sent Wesley's evidence package to Harrison Development Group and every other major real estate firm in the city. By Monday, he was suspended pending investigation. By Wednesday, fired. Camilla tried to come back to the house while I was at work. The new lock stopped her. She called the police. They reviewed the deed, saw her name wasn't on it, told her it was a civil matter. The divorce was filed the Monday after Thanksgiving. With my evidence, Camilla's lawyer told her to take whatever I offered. I offered nothing except her personal belongings and the car that was in her name. She took it. My family fractured completely. My parents blamed me for destroying everything over one mistake. They said I should have been the bigger man, kept it private, preserved the family. I told them to F off with that BS. Wesley made his choice every time he walked into my house to F my wife. Camilla made hers every time she lied to my face. They destroyed the family. I just made sure everyone knew who lit the match. It's been 2 weeks since Thanksgiving. Wesley is staying with our parents, can't afford his own place after losing his job. Scarlett told everyone what happened. His reputation in the city is destroyed. He'll have to move elsewhere to work in real estate again. Camilla moved back to Houston with her tail between her legs. Her parents barely speak to her. The pharmaceutical company she worked for mysteriously decided to restructure her position out of existence after the scandal hit their gossip mill. My parents call occasionally, trying to guilt me into forgiveness. Family is everything, my mom says. You boys need to work this out. No, we don't. Wesley ceased being my brother the moment he entered my wife. There's no coming back from that. Some people say I went too far. That I should have just divorced Camilla and cut Wesley off. That making it public was unnecessary. Those people have never been betrayed by the two people who should have been most loyal to them. They don't understand that some sins can't be forgiven, only punished. I sleep fine at night. Alone, but fine. Because I know that while they took my marriage and my brother from me, I took everything from them. Their reputations, their careers, their families' respect, their futures. Was it worth it? Every F-king second. They wanted to play with fire in my house. So I burned the whole thing to the ground with them inside it. And I'd do it again. Update 1, posted 3 weeks after original post. A lot has happened since my first post, and honestly, it's been even messier than I expected. But I regret nothing. First, let me address some comments from my original post. Yes, I was calculating. Yes, I was cruel. No, I don't give a SHT about your opinion that I should have been the bigger person. The bigger person is the one who gets F-ket over while everyone else moves on with their lives. I chose violence, and I'm at peace with that choice. Now for the update. Wesley tried to sue me for defamation. Can you believe that SHT? He actually hired a lawyer and tried to claim I maliciously destroyed his career with false accusations. His attorney dropped the case when I sent over the video evidence. Turns out, truth is an absolute defense against defamation. Who knew? But Wesley didn't stop there. He showed up at my house last Tuesday, drunk off his sauce at 11 p.m., pounding on my door and screaming about how I ruined his life. I called the cops. He took a swing at one of them. Spent the night in jail and now has an assault charge pending. My parents had to bail him out. The real kicker? Scarlett reached out to me. We met for coffee, and she told me some things that made everything even worse. Apparently, Wesley had been cheating on her for years. Not just with Camilla. She found out after everything exploded because other women started coming forward, feeling safe to share their stories now that Wesley's reputation was already trashed. One was her cousin's best friend. Another was a client's wife. The man was a serial cheater, and Camilla was just his latest conquest. But here's what really King gets me. Scarlett knew something was off months ago. She said Wesley had been distant, working late, making excuses. She mentioned her concerns to Camilla at a girls' night back in August. Camilla comforted her, told her she was being paranoid, that Wesley would never cheat because he loved her too much. This was while Camilla was actively King him. The level of sociopathy needed to comfort someone while you're destroying their relationship is beyond my comprehension. And I was married to this woman for 7 years. Speaking of Camilla, she's been busy trying to salvage her life. She started a blog about surviving narcissistic abuse and rebuilding after betrayal. ISHT you not. She's painting herself as the victim, claiming I was emotionally abusive and that Wesley was her escape. She doesn't mention the affair directly, just alludes to finding comfort in unexpected places and love doesn't follow rules. I had my attorney send her a cease and desist. If she wants to blog about her feelings, fine. But the moment she makes false accusations about abuse, we're going to court with my evidence. The blog went private within 24 hours. Her parents reached out to me last week. Felix and Ruth wanted to apologize for Camilla's behavior and for walking out on Thanksgiving without saying anything to me. Felix especially was broken up about it. He served 3 tours in Iraq, came back with his honor intact, only to find out his daughter has none. They told me something interesting. Camilla had borrowed $30,000 from them last year for what she claimed was an investment opportunity. They never saw any returns. Now they're wondering if that money went to funding her affair with Wesley. Hotels, gifts, whatever else. They're devastated. I felt bad for them. They didn't deserve this SHT either. But I also couldn't help them reconcile who they thought their daughter was with who she actually is. My parents are the worst part of all this. They're in complete denial about Wesley. My mom keeps saying things like affairs happen in families and you boys need to work through this. She genuinely expects me to forgive him eventually and go back to Sunday dinners like nothing happened. My dad is quieter about it, but he's made his position clear. He thinks I overreacted. He pulled me aside last week when I stopped by to grab some tools I'd left there and said, "You went nuclear when a conversation would have sufficed." I looked him straight in the eye and said, "Would you have had a conversation with your brother if you caught him King Mom?" He didn't have an answer for that. The family is completely fractured now. My aunt, Dad's sister, and her family have taken my side. My uncle, Mom's brother, thinks I'm a psychopath. Cousins are split. Christmas is obviously cancelled. Nobody wants to pick a venue that would mean choosing sides. Wesley is spiraling. Lost his job, lost his fiancée, lost his reputation, and now has a criminal record pending. He's living in our parents' basement at 29 years old. I heard through the family grapevine that he's drinking heavily and can't get an interview anywhere in the state. Real estate is a small world, and word travels fast. Part of me wonders if I should feel guilty about that. Then I remember the sound of Camilla's laugh coming from my bedroom that September afternoon, and any potential guilt evaporates. Some interesting fallout I didn't expect. Rico, my security consultant buddy, has had 3 referrals from my situation. Apparently, several married men in my social circle got paranoid after hearing what happened and want cameras installed. The private investigator industry is probably sending me a thank you card. I've had 4 different women hit me up on social media. Everything from "I'm sorry you went through that" to straight up NDS. It's bizarre. Like being cheated on made me some kind of tragic hero that needs sexual healing. I'm not interested. I'm not ready to trust anyone with anything beyond surface level interaction. Work has been my escape. My boss pulled me aside after the news hit our industry circle. Energy sector in Texas is surprisingly small, and said if I needed time off, to take it. I told him work was the only thing keeping me sane. He understood and has been feeding me projects that require travel. I've been on the road 3 weeks out of the last 4. The house feels different now. Not bad, just different. I've started renovating, ripping out everything Camilla chose. The bedroom furniture went first, burned it in a bonfire in my backyard. Probably wasn't legal, but my neighbors understood. The kitchen is next. Every trace of her influence will be erased. People keep asking if I'm okay, if I need to talk to someone. I'm in therapy, not because I feel guilty or traumatized, but because I want to make sure this anger doesn't consume me forever. My therapist is fascinated by what she calls my methodical response to betrayal. She doesn't judge, just helps me process. The truth is, I'm better than I've been in months. Maybe years. Looking back, there were signs. Little things. Camilla's declining interest in SX, except after Wesley had been over, I now realize. Wesley's weird competitiveness with me that had gotten worse over the past year. The inside jokes they'd developed. The way they'd text during family dinners. I was blind because I trusted them. Never again. My lawyer says the divorce should be final by February. Camilla gets nothing except what she brought into the marriage, which wasn't much. The prenup I insisted on 7 years ago, that she called unromantic, turned out to be the best decision I ever made. She fought it initially, but the adultery evidence makes it ironclad. Wesley's situation is dire. Beyond the job loss and pending assault charge, Harrison Development Group is considering a civil suit for some expenses he charged to their account during his affair timeline. Apparently, several of those client entertainment charges were actually his hotel meetups with Camilla. That's fraud, and they don't play. I've been asked by several people if I think I went too far. If destroying Wesley's entire life was worth it. Here's my answer. Wesley knew I was married to Camilla. He was in my wedding party. He gave a speech about how happy he was to see his brother find true love. Then he FK'd her in the bed I bought, in the house I paid for, while I was working to build the life he was destroying. He didn't just betray me once. He betrayed me every single time he made that choice. Every Tuesday. Every Thursday. Every lie at Sunday dinner. So no, I didn't go too far. If anything, I showed restraint. Because what I wanted to do to him would have put me in prison. The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. And I'm working toward being indifferent to both of them. They're already dead to me. Now I just need them to become nothing to me. But I'll never forgive. And I'll never forget. And if that makes me the villain in this story, so F King be it. Update 2, posted 2 months after Update 1. This will probably be my final update. The divorce is finalized, the criminal proceedings are over, and I'm ready to close this chapter. But holy F, what a way to end it. Let's start with Wesley. Remember that pending assault charge for swinging at a cop? His lawyer got it pled down to disorderly conduct and 6 months probation. Should have been the end of it. But Wesley, in his infinite wisdom, decided to violate probation within 3 weeks. He showed up at Scarlett's apartment complex, drunk and screaming about wanting her back. She wasn't even home, but her neighbors called the cops. Probation violation. He spent 30 days in county jail. My parents paid for his lawyer again. They've now spent about $20,000 trying to clean up Wesley's messes. They're retired. That money was supposed to be for their vacation fund. Instead, it went to keeping their golden child out of prison. While Wesley was in jail, something interesting happened. A woman named Mallory contacted me through Facebook. She had been following the drama. Apparently my story went semi-viral in local Facebook groups. Pipeline engineer destroys cheating wife and brother was the headline. She had something to share. Mallory had screenshots of conversations with Wesley from 2 years ago. He'd pursued her hard when she was going through a rough patch with her husband. The messages were explicit. He talked about his SX life with Scarlett, comparing her body to Mallory's, saying disgusting SHT about what he wanted to do. But here's the kicker, in one message, Wesley mentioned he'd always been jealous of me. That I got everything easy. Good career, beautiful wife, parents respect. He said, and I quote, "Sometimes I just want to take something that's his, you know? Level the playing field." This was 2 years before he FK'd Camilla. I sent those screenshots to Scarlett. Not to hurt her more, but because she deserved to know exactly who she almost married. She thanked me and mentioned she was starting therapy. Good for her. She didn't deserve any of this. Camilla's saga is even more pathetic. After the divorce finalized and she got basically nothing, she tried to claim I had assets. Her lawyer filed a motion for reconsideration. My attorney responded with the forensic accountant's report showing that If anything, I'd been overly generous in not pursuing her for the credit card debt she'd racked up during the affair. But then she made a critical mistake. She started stalking me. Not physically at first. She created fake social media profiles to monitor my activity. Then she started showing up places she knew I'd be: my gym, my regular lunch spot, the hiking trail I do on Saturdays. Always a coincidence, she'd claim. I documented everything and filed for a restraining order. The judge granted it immediately. 2 weeks later, she violated it. Showed up at my house at 2 a.m., pounding on the door, crying about how she still loved me and we could work it out. I called the cops without even opening the door. She was arrested. At her hearing, something beautiful happened. The prosecutor revealed that Camilla had been arrested twice before, once in college for keying her ex-boyfriend's car, once 3 years ago for harassment that I never knew about because it happened during one of my work trips and she bailed herself out. Pattern of behavior. The judge sentenced her to 90 days, suspended to 30 days served, 2 years probation, and mandatory psychological counseling. Her parents were in the courtroom. Felix looked like he'd aged a decade. Ruth was crying. After the hearing, Felix approached me. "I failed as a father," he said. "I don't know where we went wrong." I felt for him, but I couldn't offer comfort. Camilla is who she is. Maybe it was nature, maybe nurture, maybe both. Not my problem anymore. Now for the family situation. It's beyond repair, exactly as I knew it would be. My parents chose Wesley. They'll never admit it outright, but actions speak louder than words. They put his needs above maintaining a relationship with me. Every conversation becomes about forgiveness, about healing, about bringing the family together. I'm done trying to explain that there's no family to bring together. Wesley destroyed that. Last month was my dad's 63rd birthday. My mom called, begging me to come to dinner. "Just this once," she said. "For your father." I agreed, but only if Wesley wouldn't be there. She promised. Guess who was sitting at the F. King dinner table when I walked in? I turned around and left without saying a word. My mom followed me out, crying about how we need to get past this. I told her she'd just lost her eldest son for good. "You're being dramatic," she said. "No, I'm being consistent. You chose him. Live with that choice." Haven't spoken to them since. Don't plan to. But here's the thing, I'm thriving. The anger that consumed me for months has finally started to fade. I'm not happy exactly, but I'm content. Free. I sold the house. Too many memories, too much bad energy. Bought a condo downtown, modern, nothing like the suburban life I'd built with Camilla. I'm traveling more for work, taking on international projects. Spent 3 weeks in Norway inspecting offshore pipelines. The solitude was therapeutic. I've started dating. Nothing serious, just casual dinners and drinks. A petroleum engineer named Elena who understands the travel schedule. A financial analyst named Brooke who makes me laugh. I'm upfront about my baggage, and surprisingly, most women appreciate the honesty. Rico and I have become closer friends through all this. He told me something that stuck: you didn't just expose their affair. You exposed who they really were. That's why they hate you so much. He's right. Wesley has to live with being exposed as a serial cheater and fraud. Camilla has to live with being exposed as a manipulator and stalker. My parents have to live with choosing their F-up son over the one who was betrayed. Meanwhile, I get to live with my choices too. And I'm good with them. I ran into mutual friends of Camilla and mine last week. They were awkward, not knowing what to say. Finally, one asked if I regretted how I handled things. "Do you know what I regret?" I said. "I regret not having cameras installed sooner. Could have saved myself 4 months of being played for a fool." They didn't know how to respond to that. The truth is, I transformed my rage into action, my humiliation into their destruction. Some people call that unhealthy. I call it justice. Wesley is now working at a used car dealership 2 hours away, living in a studio apartment. He'll never work in commercial real estate again. His credit is destroyed from legal fees and job loss. He's 30 years old and starting over from less than zero. Camilla is living with her parents in Houston, working part-time as a receptionist at a dental office. Her blog about surviving narcissistic abuse never took off. Turns out, people can smell BS even through a screen. She's 32, divorced, with a criminal record, living in her childhood bedroom. My parents are stuck with the son they chose. Wesley still lives in their basement when he's not at his apartment. They're funding his life, enabling his refusal to truly take responsibility. They're isolated from extended family who sided with me. Their golden child turned out to be pyrite. And me? I'm free. Free from a marriage built on lies. Free from a brother who envied me so much he had to F my wife to feel better about himself. Free from parents who value keeping the peace over justice. Free from the obligation to be the bigger person. I gave them all the same choice, loyalty or betrayal. They chose betrayal. So I chose scorched earth. Worth it. Every F King time. Final update, posted 6 months after update 2. Wasn't planning on updating again, but the universe had other plans. This is definitely the end though, because there's nothing left to destroy. They did it themselves. Wesley is dead. Not by my hand, before anyone asks. I may have wanted him destroyed, but not dead. He was still my brother, even if I'd never forgive him. It happened 2 months ago. I only found out through my aunt, who thought I should hear it from family rather than see it on social media or the news. Wesley had continued spiraling. Lost the used car job for showing up drunk. Moved back with my parents full time. DUI arrest in April that my parents couldn't afford to lawyer their way out of. License suspended, fines he couldn't pay, community service he kept skipping. Then he met a woman at a bar. Kendra. Recently divorced, 2 kids, looking for a rebound. Wesley became that rebound. Moved into her place within 3 weeks of meeting her. My parents were relieved, finally, he was someone else's problem. But Wesley was still Wesley. Started cheating on Kendra with her neighbor. Got caught. Kendra kicked him out. He went back to my parents, but they'd had enough. Told him he had a week to find somewhere else to live. That night, Wesley got SHT-faced and decided to drive to Kendra's to win her back. No license, blood alcohol 3 times the legal limit, doing 90 in a 45 zone. Hit a tree. Dead on impact. The funeral was complicated. My parents begged me to come. I wrestled with it for days. Finally decided I'd regret not saying goodbye, even if that goodbye was just standing at the back of the room. Camilla showed up. Of F King course she did. Sobbing like she'd lost her soulmate. My parents actually let her sit with the family. I stayed in the back, said nothing, left before the burial. But the real drama came after. Wesley had nothing to his name except debt, but he'd been the beneficiary on a life insurance policy my parents had maintained since he was a kid. $100,000. They assumed they'd get it as his next of kin. Nope. 3 days before he died, Wesley had changed the beneficiary to Kendra. Probably trying to win her back with the gesture. Didn't live long enough to tell her or change it back after she rejected him. My parents lost their minds. Tried to contest it, claiming Wesley wasn't in his right mind. Kendra hired a lawyer with part of the payout. She won. She had no legal obligation to give my parents anything, and after they harassed her, she gave them exactly that, nothing. They'd spent their retirement trying to save Wesley. Now he was dead, and they couldn't even afford to bury him properly. I paid for the funeral. Not for them, not for Wesley, but because it was the right thing to do. My mom called me crying last week. Dad had a mild heart attack. Stress, the doctor said. Too much loss, too much financial strain, too much everything. He's okay now, but fragile. She begged me to come see him. Said he's been asking for me. Wants to apologize. I went. Dad looked smaller in the hospital bed. Older. Broken. I chose wrong, he said. I thought keeping the family together was more important than standing for what's right. I lost both my sons because of it. You lost one son, I corrected. You chose to lose the other. He nodded, tears in his eyes. I know. Your mother and I. We f'd up. We wanted so badly to believe Wesley could be redeemed that we sacrificed our relationship with the son who didn't need redeeming. It was the first honest conversation we'd had since Thanksgiving 2 years ago. I can't just forget what you did, I told him. You sided with the person who betrayed me. You made me the villain for refusing to be a doormat. I know, he said. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Just don't disappear completely. Your mother needs you. I need you. We've lost everything else. I visit once a week now. Not forgiveness, just acknowledgement that they're old and broken and alone. We don't talk about Wesley. We don't talk about the past. We talk about my work, the weather, safe things. It's hollow, but it's something. Camilla's story ended pathetically too. After Wesley's funeral, she went completely off the rails. Started posting on social media about how they were twin flames and she was his true widow. Tagged Scarlett in posts about how she never deserved him. Scarlett, who had moved on and was engaged to someone new, filed harassment charges. Camilla's probation officer wasn't amused. Back to jail for 60 days. But here's where it gets truly insane. While in jail, Camilla befriended another inmate, Carla, doing time for check fraud. Gave Carla all my information, social security number, date of birth, mother's maiden name. Thought she was getting revenge by having someone destroy my credit. Carla got out 2 weeks before Camilla and immediately started opening credit cards in my name. But Carla was an idiot. Used her own address for the cards. I caught it within days thanks to credit monitoring I'd set up during the divorce. FBI got involved because it crossed state lines. Carla flipped on Camilla immediately. Conspiracy to commit identity theft. Federal charge. Camilla's looking at 2 to 5 years in federal prison. Her parents disowned her completely. Felix sent me a letter apologizing for bringing her into my life. Ruth hasn't spoken to her since the arrest. They're selling their house and moving to Florida to start over, away from the shame. Last I heard, Camilla was trying to get a plea deal. Her court-appointed attorney, she can't afford a private one, is pushing for 18 months. The prosecutor wants 3 years. I provided a victim impact statement requesting the maximum sentence. Scarlett reached out last month. She wanted to thank me for exposing Wesley before she married him. She's in a good place now, engaged to a pediatric surgeon she met through work, pregnant with their first kid. She said Wesley's death brought her peace, not because he was gone, but because she finally stopped looking over her shoulder. He would have always been out there, trying to worm his way back in, she said. Now I'm truly free. I understood that completely. Rico remains my closest friend through all this. He jokes that I'm his most effective marketing campaign, half his clients reference my story when they call. But beyond the jokes, he's been solid. The friend who shows up with beer and doesn't require conversation. Sometimes that's all you need. Elena and I have gotten more serious. She knows the whole story, has seen me at my worst, and still chooses to stay. We're taking it slow, neither of us wants to rush into anything. But it's good. Healthy. She doesn't try to fix me or therapize me. She just exists in my space, and I exist in hers. The condo is home now. I've made it mine, modern furniture, minimalist design, nothing that reminds me of the life I had before. I wake up without dread. Go to sleep without rage. The weight I didn't realize I was carrying is gone. My therapist says I've processed the trauma remarkably well. That my methodical approach to justice, while extreme, gave me closure many people never get. I neither agree nor disagree. I just know I sleep peacefully. Sometimes I think about the butterfly effect of that September day. If I hadn't come home early. If I'd confronted them immediately. If I'd chosen forgiveness over vengeance. But those are pointless thoughts. What happened, happened. The choices were made, first theirs, then mine. Wesley died as he lived, recklessly, selfishly, destroying everything he touched. Camilla will spend the next few years in federal prison, her life reduced to a cautionary tale. My parents will grow old in the shadow of their choices, one son dead, the other distant. And me? I survived. More than that, I won, not because they suffered, though they did. Not because I got revenge, though I did. But because I refused to let their betrayal define my story. I defined it myself, on my terms, with brutal honesty and zero FS given. People still ask if I have regrets. If I wish I'd handled things differently. Here's my answer. I regret trusting them. I regret not seeing the signs sooner. I regret the years wasted on people who didn't deserve my loyalty. But I don't regret a single action I took after discovery. Not the surveillance. Not the Thanksgiving massacre. Not the scorched earth. Not the cold, calculated destruction of their lives. They started the fire. I just made sure they burned in it. Wesley's grave is 20 minutes from my condo. I've never visited. Never will. He's not there anyway. The Wesley I knew as my brother died the moment he touched my wife. What's in that ground is just the consequence of his choices. Camilla will get out of prison eventually. She'll be a felon in her late 30s with no career, no prospects, no family support. Maybe she'll rebuild. Maybe she'll spiral further. Not my problem. She ceased to exist for me the moment the divorce finalized. My parents will probably die without us ever truly reconciling. The weekly visits are duty, not love. They made their choice. Now they live with ghosts, one literal, one figurative. This is the end of the story. Not happy, not sad, just ended. I came home early one September afternoon and found my brother and wife betraying me. I responded by burning everything to the ground. They thought they were playing with fire. Turns out, I was the inferno. And now? Now I'm just Ivan. Pipeline engineer. Condo owner. Elena's boyfriend. Rico's friend. Not a victim. Not even a survivor. Just a man who refused to be anyone's fool. Sometimes that's the best revenge of all, not just destroying those who wronged you, but building something better from their ashes. I won. The F King end. Epilogue, posted 1 year after final update. Wasn't going to write this, but I owe it to anyone who followed this journey. This is really the end. The absolute final word. Camilla got 30 months federal time. Took a plea deal. She'll be out in 18 with good behavior. Her parents didn't attend the sentencing. My dad died 3 months ago. Another heart attack, this one he didn't survive. I was offshore in Scotland when it happened. Flew back for the funeral. Gave a eulogy that was honest. He was a flawed man who loved his sons, even when he failed them. My mom is lost without him. She's selling the house, moving into a senior living community near my aunt. We talk more now. Death has a way of clarifying what matters and what doesn't. She finally admitted she knew Wesley was troubled but couldn't accept it. Parents rarely can. Found something while cleaning out their house, a letter Wesley never sent, dated a week before he died. It was addressed to me. In it, he admitted everything. How his jealousy consumed him. How seducing Camilla was about beating me, not loving her. How he knew he'd destroyed everything but couldn't stop himself from destroying more. How he hated himself more than I ever could. He ended with, "You were the brother I should have been. I was the brother you deserved to never have." I burned it. He doesn't get absolution just because he's dead. Elena and I got engaged last month. Small gesture, no grand proposal. We were making breakfast on a Sunday and I just knew. Asked her right there in my kitchen, coffee in one hand, ring in the other. She said yes while laughing at the complete lack of romance. It was perfect. We're getting married next spring. Tiny ceremony, just Rico and a few close friends. Her family. My aunt. That's it. No big wedding, no extended family drama. Just two people committing to honesty and loyalty. She's pregnant. Found out 2 weeks ago. Terror and joy in equal measure. I'm going to be a father, something I thought Camilla and I would do before everything went to HL. Sometimes I wonder if my kid will ask about Uncle Wesley one day. What do you tell a child about an uncle who betrayed family? Maybe the truth, that blood doesn't guarantee loyalty, and family is chosen through actions, not born through genetics. Scarlett had her baby. A girl. She sent me a photo with a thank you note. "She'll grow up in a stable home because you showed me who he really was. Thank you for giving her a chance at a normal life." I'm godfather to Rico's son now. He jokes it's payment for all the business I inadvertently sent his way. But really, we're brothers in the way Wesley never was, chosen, loyal, honest. The rage is gone. Completely. What remains is nothing. And that's perfect. Wesley and Camilla occupy no space in my mind beyond these updates. They're historical facts, not active wounds. My therapist says I've achieved actual closure, which is apparently rare. Most people carry their betrayals forever. I set mine on fire and walked away from the ashes. Looking back on everything, the discovery, the revenge, the fallout, the deaths both literal and metaphorical, I stand by every decision. Not because I'm proud of the destruction, but because I'm proud of refusing to be diminished by their choices. They wanted to make me small, to reduce me to a cuckold who'd forgive and forget. Instead, I became something harder, cleaner, more honest. I became a man who knows exactly what he will and won't tolerate. Elena asked me once if I ever worry about becoming like Wesley, capable of such betrayal. No, I told her. Wesley's problem was he never faced consequences until it was too late. I learned early that actions have prices. And I always pay my debts. She's never asked again. To anyone reading this who's been betrayed, you don't owe anyone forgiveness. You don't owe them understanding. You don't owe them a second chance. You owe yourself the response that lets you sleep at night. For some, that's forgiveness. For others, that's walking away. For me, it was complete and utter destruction. No regrets. No apologies. No looking back. I came home early one day and found my brother F-king my wife. I destroyed them both, lost my family, and rebuilt my entire life. Worth it. Every single time. This is Ivan, signing off forever. The man who refused to be anyone's fool. The man who won. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.